Hello, family, friends, fans, and fellow adventurers. Welcome back to Practical Heroes and our flagship campaign, Immortals, set in the pretty much entirely homebrew world of Eroth, now getting slightly more homebrew after certain things have happened, and I may have to remove certain things from my lore, but that's fine. It's all good. We'll see what is in the Creative Commons and what isn't, and we'll move from there. But yes, welcome back. For the most part, outside of that, everything's going to stay the same. So, last time, on Sands of Syldaris, you guys encountered and fought the spirit that had been haunting the town of Belcrest all this time. I don't believe, from my memory, uncovered the name of it necessarily, but you did understand that it was certainly a spirit that was haunting people and seemed to be targeting individuals who had been doing specific research. You fought it, you defeated it after a particularly brutal takedown from Linger, who was not having any of that whisper in the head nonsense. And after just absolutely disintegrating that poor spirit, you reported back to the headmistress of Moss Point Manor. Told her everything that had gone down, told her all of your findings, and she started to try and help you dig up some research on what this spirit could have been. You took your findings to the captain of the guard here in town, and after some persuasion, hello, now Mitch is in colour. You can actually see me. After a little bit of discussion,
was an artistic choice.
Yeah, a little bit of discussion and persuasion, he did, of course, believe you. You did have some evidence to back you up. That tends to help. And he sent a few people to investigate, and you did, of course, have Ramira Lightspell backing you up, which also helps. And my webcam is slowly falling. There we go. It's all going well here today. Following on from that, you...
It is not going well here today.
Thanks for outing us.
I'm doing great.
Yeah. We're gonna need a ward to really hold the fort down to the...
Yeah.
Oh no.
Following that,
You're the face.
You got some rewards from the captain of the guard and started to think about your next moves. You heard a little bit about Warden and his past and why he is not the most talkative, which he attributes to the fact that he's from a place called the Silent Isles, which not a huge amount is known about. And where we had left off, I do believe you were in the tavern discussing what you were thinking of doing next, getting to know each other a bit more, having a couple of drinks, as you often do. And I just realised this whole time I haven't been running the recap music, so go me, it's going well today.
It's going really great today.
This is by default the recap music because it was playing during the recap.
That is
So
true.
That's
You did
very
not
true.
make a mistake.
Yes. Lindsay here to save
You're
the day.
perfect.
Oh yeah, like during this whole time that they've been getting to know each other, Mira has been giving Warden tips on how to be more conversational. She has
Excellent.
been teaching him like how to be hip with the kids and use the lingo.
Nice.
Fantastic.
We love that.
So, what does Lindsay remember Lindsay
That's a very good
remembers.
question.
Hmm.
I have a note here that says Felicia - Warden, Silent Isles, Aztec. Not sure what that's about.
I love it when you write notes that make so much sense to you at the time, and then you look back and you have no idea what it means.
Yeah.
Mage at Guard Place, Kefiria works
Yes.
with Jazz Ass.
I remember Jazz Ass.
Yeah,
I wonder
everyone
what
remembers
you're
Jazz
doing.
Ass.
Yeah.
And then
We all remember that.
I'm just giving you. I'm helping everyone should share their notes. Is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And then find the secret of sand is my last note. So I think if it corresponds to everyone else's notes, that's where we're at.
Oh yeah, totally.
Find the secret of sand. If we'll just all cross check and see.
I'm gonna
if that's where
look
we're
at
at.
my
My notes are Guild Leader of Midnight Blades, Ravenflame. Fuck. Why didn't I flesh this out?
See,
Did the count write the end of your notes there? Just it's all
okay.
I like that that's
My
a
notes
universal
say-
reference.
We are
Really
starting in
is.
the Sleeping Gardens. Those are the last notes I took.
Yes.
There's like some other notes in here, but they've been like whited out. Like the CIA came through and like redacted them. So
Yeah,
I'm
the
not
Men in
sure.
Black came, whited out your entire notebook, and then just did like the Men in Black eye flash. Just wipe your brain.
Totally is what happened.
I don't know why these are whited out. What the hell?
You're so mad over the whole OGL thing, and just decided to scrap
Do you-
everything.
Oh,
Do you
the
just-
history gone.
Do you just redact your notes so you have like some sort of real life tangible version of how Mura's brain works?
I think that's why I don't really take notes, because like I think she's like Drew Barrymore in that one movie with
50 First Dates.
50 First Dates, where it's just like she only remembers up to a certain point and everything is
This
new.
is like your second Drew Barrymore character.
Shut up!
Mura is all RAM, no hard drive. The minute the PC that is Mura's brain shuts down for the night, all that temporary storage gone.
Gone.
Emptied.
I mean,
All RAM.
Stephanie is our Drew Barrymore. I think we can all agree to that.
Yes.
Thank you. I've been told that I bear a resemblance, although I feel like I don't right now because of like no makeup on or anything. But
But yes, who else is volunteering their notes for the great fucking?
I do have a note about the abandoned clock tower ruins.
yes, we were gonna go there.
That was
see,
our
somebody
game
had it.
plan.
Somebody had
Yes.
it. I knew if I poked long enough, somebody would tell us what we were doing. I don't remember.
Which I've been
That
excited
said,
about.
I
Anything
do
can happen on a
believe
clock tower.
there is a little bit of crossed wires on the clock tower and the ruins. There is a clock tower and there is also ruins.
Mhm.
And they
Oh,
are not the
shit.
same, but then I also got confused last session because I was hungry and tired, so combined them. So now they are the same thing. But
Oh.
Or
when
just,
we
like,
had
in the same
first
area.
originally discussed them, I do believe someone had said, oh, there's clock tower ruins, and I went, no, there's a clock tower and there's ruins. So if any viewers remember that far back, just know we are changing it.
Please write notes for us, please.
Yeah.
Max, that's you.
But yeah, it's if I go continents, Zeeth, Sleeping Gardens, where
I have to turn on
is
my fan. It's warm, so
Crest? Here we
just
go.
letting you know. I forgot.
Yes. So the point, and I see where the confusion came, and I was researching this after last session. There is the ruins of Valley Tower and the Clock Tower. There's two towers, so I can see why they would blend into one. But I also have no notes about the ruins of Valley Tower because I'm a dum-dum. So now they are the same.
The ruins of Valley Clock Tower.
Exactly. Basically, the wizard
Perfect.
was Vali, V-A-L-I, and he built that clock tower. So it's both called Valley Tower and the Clock Tower, because that's what people do, right?
The
Like
Clock
Big Ben.
Tower. Yes, like Big Ben.
New clip live on YouTube. DM flails wildly for lore. But yes, if you wish to investigate the clock tower, you can of course do so. You did get a little bit of information about it from Mr. Jazzass himself.
I am unsure of what your respective schedules are. However, if you have time to visit a clock tower, I would be more than willing to do so with the three of you. Sorry, pardon me. My little friend here, how is he dressed today, actually? I
Yes,
forgot.
very important question.
Today Rip is in like a little English schoolboy outfit from the cartoons, like the little shorts with the little
AC/DC,
hat.
I'm picturing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's immediately what I was picturing.
that's how he's dressed.
All right. And you, my little friend Rip, looking quite spry today.
Excellent. I love him so
Yes.
much.
I have nothing but time, and Rip goes where I go. So this clock tower does seem to be a point of interest that might align to our current goal.
Like sands through the hourglass.
I will, of course, follow you, friend Chester.
Most kind.
And I'll come too.
Final boss is
Glad
an
to hear
hourglass.
I did a campaign where the final boss was a book, so it's not,
Nice.
I
not
think
too
my
weird.
coffee was too hot when I put my cream in,
Oh no.
and it turned my cream.
Oh no.
Oh no.
The worst.
Didn't know that was a thing.
Excuse me, Mr. Jazzass, this coffee is quite unsalvageable at this point.
I can't. drink it.
Unfortunately, Jazzass is back in the barracks. You're in the tavern
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
from
with the
tavern.
incredibly hot elf.
It's the ass pot. It's
That's
beautiful
why the
behind.
coffee's so hot, because it
Yes.
was just held by a guy who
Mm.
is just so unbelievably hot that everything he touches is hot.
Yeah.
Have we reached maximum exposure with this guy yet, to the point that like it's dulled our reaction to him? Like you've stared at the sun long enough, you're starting to get blind, so
I
it
hope
doesn't
not.
affect you as much. Okay,
I mean,
probably a personal
think-
by person choice.
I think little yes and no, as you say, it is definitely a personal thing. It's still noticeable, but it's definitely not like, whoa, oh yeah, starts playing in the background every time he turns. Like
or it
you,
does, but it's lower volume.
you still catch like the gleam on the little bead of sweat on his forehead and the glint of the teeth, but yeah, you're getting a bit used to it now. But of course, individual reactions are individual reactions, as Grickle is just absolutely
Mhm.
owning this tavern.
Is there anyone in this town that is fully over Rickle? Like just comes in and is just like, this guy. I just want to stop it with the gleaming. Stop it. I
Maybe
just
one
want a
of his
beer.
exes.
I just want a beer.
He's wearing Skin of Gleaming.
Did Birds just tie his apron on?
Yeah.
Is he?
Like there's got to be somebody in this town that's just like, I just
yeah, I
Probably
mean,
Why is
one of
there
his
another
exes.
I don't know that it has to be a romantic thing. Just anyone at all. That's just
You can see there's one or two patrons that definitely don't seem to be as heavily affected as some of the others appear to be. For sure.
okay.
With regards to the rest of the townsfolk, you don't necessarily know.
No, I
because
just like Lindsay just wants to
they're
know.
not around. No,
Like-
absolutely. And above game, absolutely, there are multiple people in town who are very much over him.
Thank God.
A lot of
I
the
just need
dwarves
it.
around town are very much over him.
Have always been, will always be.
Yes,
Maybe a little too over him, some of them, a little too much.
absolutely.
It's like the lady doth protest too much.
Yeah. There's like one or two that they're like, whoa, guy, we get it that you don't like him. Like, no, I don't like him the most,
Yeah.
obviously.
Just keeps
Absolutely.
talking about it. It's like, how does he slip into the conversation all the time? Like, we thought you hated him.
Yeah, exactly that. And you do
Hello,
kind of
dog.
have to wonder if part of it is just because he's an elf and they're dwarves.
Lola!
A tale as old as time.
Oh. She, a little whine of like, don't.
So, presumably you finish up your food and drink and start to make your way towards the clock tower then, if everyone seemed to be in agreement.
Yes,
We do agree. The agreement.
Lola
is
agrees
struck.
too.
Yes.
Excellent. You head on over, and you do see it for quite a distance away before you even reach it. You can see the remaining part of the clock tower that does still stand with the clock that kind of like is almost embossed on it in a way. And as you get closer, you can see it's kind of almost at like a slight slant, very, very leaning Tower of Pisa-esque. And all around it, you can still see like very standard ruins style, just kind of chunks of rock and stone that have clearly been there for a very long time, and the grass and moss and whatever else have started to kind of grow over them, but you can see this kind of monolith of this hewn stone. It seems to be kind of like a mixture of almost this really nice kind of like marbling of a combination of obsidian and one or two other stones. Can I'll say everyone give me a... I'm trying to think of the skills. I'll say just a general intelligence check.
Oh, jeez.
Oh boy.
Mira,
I
Warden,
loved-
and
Oh,
Chester
perfect.
all immediately fail.
Wait, how did I get a 1?
8.
Nice.
I
Oh, no, I
definitely
got
have.
a 0. That makes more sense.
Hold on.
A 0.
A 0.
A very
Nice.
rare 0. Oh wait, do I have a inspiration now? Don't I? Perfect.
Good. I wish I knew what intelligence.
Chester
was.
does like he's gonna sort of hold his hands up like this. Somebody paint a picture of me like I'm holding this, preventing it from falling. It'll be hilarious.
My god, Linger with immediately the nat 20.
A solid 10, which is pretty impressive for Mura.
That's very impressive for Mura. Excellent. And Warden was an 8, and Chester was a 0. Cool. So, I will say, obviously Linger knows every single aspect of what's going on here with this tower, so we'll get to that in a second, with her 24. But I'll say Mura just because they're somewhat common knowledge, one more so than some of the others, but you do manage to identify one of these stones that's kind of somehow, well, I say somehow, clearly magically fused with the others, creating this marbling effect. You do manage to identify one of the veins of stone that isn't the obsidian as dwarven stone.
Wow, dwarves made this.
Which is very much kind of like a ceremonial material as far as the common knowledge is. Linga, with the 24, is just picking out every single aspect of this tower, of course. So, if we just keep with the dwarven stone for now, because that had already been picked up, you know it's this kind of like, it's called stone, but it is also often more like an actual ore than chunks of actual stone in and of itself, but it is very marble-like and often mistaken for marble. It's often used for ceremonial armor, even though it's heavier and bulkier than metallic armor, which is why it's more ceremonial for the dwarves. But they will build important buildings using dwarven stone to give it more of that kind of air of importance and specialness. And for someone to be using that in this construction, particularly an elven wizard, as you were told previously, either must have been very heavily approved by the dwarves or stolen and used without much consent or knowledge, and maybe that's how it got ruined. We don't know. But just kind of casting a discerning eye over the rest of the materials that you can see kind of winding through this tower. There are kind of various other kind of gem materials as well. There's obviously the obsidian. You can see kind of small veins of like emerald and hematite running through it. You can see this another stone material that's often used for weapons and armors. This kind of bluish stone called aquastone running through the tower, which is often found more towards bodies of water and things like that, and it's very much used by sea and waterborne creatures, so probably came up in some of Linga's studies if she was doing any study of creatures, which might have just been some background research while she was studying magic. You need to know other things as well.
Absolutely.
But you can certainly tell as well, I will say, and I'll just use your ridiculous intelligence check rather than make you roll again with Arcana. You can certainly tell that the clock is very clearly magical.
Why wouldn't it be, you know?
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
Where kind of the numbers on the clock are, it's almost like you look and kind of as you're looking out the corner of your eye, you can see the actual magical runes that have been etched into the clock face, but when you're looking directly at it, it is numbers, so that obviously people can tell the time without needing to know.
It's digital,
runes.
analog.
It is analog. So very much the round clock face. There are there is, it's kind of more sundial-y in a way. There's more just like an hour hand than an hour and minutes. So it's not necessarily the most accurate, but it can show you, and right now it's pointing at about halfway between the 11 and 12 mark, and given that you know it's morning time, you get a fairly accurate estimation that it's about 11:30 in the morning.
Amazing how that works.
Yeah, I know, right? Magic is
The brain.
wild.
My brain works so good. I'm glad she's smart.
there a door or an entrance of some sort?
Make a perception check or an investigation check, Chester. I'll say your choice. I'll be nice about it.
I think I'm about to say. Oh. Wow. 3.
3.
Really?
You don't see a door. It could have sunken into the ground a bit. It could be in any of the parts of the ruins, or maybe it's not even a tower that held a door to begin with. Who knows? Chester doesn't.
This is an impenetrable structure. These dwarves surely knew what they were doing when they built this.
Of course. Okay, can I just aside very quickly? In the Rings of Power show with like the Lord of the Rings, there's this whole scene where they talk about like a table that the elves have did you watch Rings of Power? This is my
I
favorite.
plan to at some point.
It's so good. Watch it just,
It's
I
great.
mean, I liked it. Watch it just for that scene. We're going to get canceled for being like, we like Rings of Power.
I loved Rings of Power. Bring it, cancelers.
It was great.
It was great. I loved it.
But yes,
but
I
yeah.
know the exact scene and I loved it.
And the whole time that you're talking about this like dwarven
Yes.
stone, all I could think of, and I got a
Well, that's
message
the-
from Ethan.
Exact style that should be elicited from that. It's exactly how it would go down. They'd make a big ceremonial thing out of this special stone, and if an elf had a massive table of it, they'd be like, why are you eating food off of our precious stone?
Off of my
Yeah.
graves.
Say what you will, but they nailed the dwarves in that shit.
Oh,
did.
So good.
Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
You know, I am so out of media, I didn't even know that people didn't like it. So I was living in the
How did
bliss.
I?
Yeah, people didn't like. I mean,
People just
it's-
like
I
to hate
just-
on things.
That's
Like
that's it.
anything.
I mean, I got that it wasn't like a direct rewrite of the Silmarillion or whatever, but it's okay to have new stories. It's okay.
No, it's not.
No.
Nothing can be new. Everything must be retold, but then they'll complain when things are retold.
That's why I
This isn't
was.
an
Oh no, Pebble! No,
reenactment.
Pebble, stop! I hope you can't hear
No,
Pebble
it's
barking in the
fine.
background. Someone just rang the
Mm-mm.
doorbell. But yeah, the clock
Your
tower.
touches. Wait, are we still with the stone?
Yeah. So this is all part of the clock tower.
Mira puts her face on the stone. In
It's
her hands.
quite cool.
Oh, it's cold, like a cold thing, like ice or something.
I thought you were gonna phase through the wall there for a second. I was like, that's quite
Whoa.
interesting.
That would be really cool. No, I
That
don't
would be
think I
cool.
can do that.
Not yet.
Wait, I haven't tried.
Mira tries to phase through the rock. She like closes her eyes and like uses all her power to try to phase through the rock.
There is a brief moment as you come into contact with the stone where you can feel it almost starting to bend, and as you push forward, you just push up against the side of this clock tower. And Mira's just mushing herself into the side of it.
Like her whole body.
But you're so nearly there.
Can I feel any ley lines or anything like that are directly attached to this stone?
I remember exactly how that feature works, so just let me think
Great.
on it. I'm totally not loading stuff in the background because, of
Do you
course,
want
I
me to
remember
read
how everything
it
works.
for
Yes, please.
you and the audience?
I want to hear it. I want to hear
Okay.
it.
So Mira's beginning feat was student of geomancy. You can sense the presence of every ley line within 1 mile of your location. If you have a line of sight to the line itself, it's visible to you in some obvious magical fashion. You can tap into ley lines in their inherent power. When a spell is cast within 30 feet of a ley line, the spellcaster can tap into the line's power to augment his or her magic. This requires a successful ability check using the caster's spellcasting ability, but without including any proficiency bonus. The DC of the check is 10 plus the level of the spell being cast. If the check fails, but the result is within 10 of the or within 4 of the DC, the spell is cast normally with no bonus effect, no penalty. If the check fails by 5 or more, the spell is cast normally, but the spellcaster suffers backlash. There's like a whole table related to this, which I do not know where that is.
It should be in there somewhere, but it'll be a whole lot simpler when we use other things, and I have and I have deep magic imported properly into it instead of my real quick imports. But thank you, Kobold Press, and bless you, whoever just sneezed. I
Bless
think it
you,
was Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Sorry.
That's all good. It happens.
I like how Lindsay
It was
apologized
unexpected.
for her sneeze.
But yeah, as you finish trying to phase through solid stone, because you are, of course, not incorporeal,
Yeah.
you take a step back, and you do kind of wonder how you didn't really see it before, but maybe it's just now that you're focusing and trying to see it. You can see almost like a river running through the floor around you, or the ground around you. You can see, and it's only about 10 feet wide at its thickest, but a ley line winding its way straight through the middle of the clock tower, effectively. It kind of runs under the clock tower and starts to trail off and fade away in the direction of Moss Point Manor.
Oh, there's a big ley line here.
She stomps on where it is.
Power.
Mura
Rock
explodes.
power.
Stamps on the ley line, blows up.
If she steps on, does it just make like a hose, like where it like the hose gets blocked?
Power starts building up.
Surprise. Did you say ley line? I thought you meant the landmine.
No, Mura, no!
You see
yeah.
the ley line.
Yeah, like there are rocks, right, on the planet, and then the planet the bottom part that we're on is made of rock and stuff, and there are like a lot of lines that run through it, and they have magic in them. They're like little magic rivers, and I can feel them.
She bends down and like pets the ground with them.
And they sometimes when I remember, I can use them in my magic.
When I remember. Says
And by
Steph and Mura.
Yeah, total 100%.
I'm not always great at it, but yeah, I sometimes I remember, and then I'm like, oh, magic, and it's rock magic.
Oh, you can harness the power of magical lines, and you make bath bombs. What can't you do?
I don't know. Read really good.
Really well.
Oh.
Yeah, I told you how knowing the odd word makes me give me the illusion of intelligence.
Uh-huh.
So when you correct someone on good versus well, you seem smart, but to be honest, you're usually pretty dumb.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll try that. I'll try that for the future.
That's what I should be making notes about when
Oh, yeah, you have a
Chester-
few now, I think.
Chester gives Mira advice on how to seem smart.
What was the other one? There was another one I
It
do.
was a
remember. I
big
can't
word that he's like, I use this word all the time.
remember. Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
It was like metaphorically, I think.
Well, sticking in character, you forgot.
Yes.
Truly. No, I'm pretty sure it was metaphorically.
But it is around this time. I mean, you're not necessarily outside of town. You're still very much within Belcrest and quite close to the center of it. It is effectively just a large village. You do hear a bit of commotion around the center of town.
I turn to look at it.
Me too. Dramatically, slowly.
There's a
leaning back on
beholder.
heels.
I turn, but I'm on the ground, so I can't really see that much.
Lift,
Sorry, continue.
lift Rip higher up in the air so that Rip can get a better view.
Nice.
Maybe Chester can
Mage hand?
raise him even further with his hand.
Yeah.
His magic.
All aboard the Mage Hand Express there, Rip. Should you wish to go up, I can accommodate.
Rip tosses a lollipop that who knows where he found that over his shoulder and jumps on to the mage hand.
Lollipop.
We'll throw it 60 feet up because he's special like that.
Cool. The mage hand carrying Rip, who is presumably surfing on it.
Oh yeah, there's a guitar riff from somewhere.
Starts
The
to
guitar rip.
float up,
Yep.
hands on hips, 1 foot up, very Captain Jack Sparrow as he rides the mage hand
There's
up.
a little the ribbon on the back of his schoolboy hat is rippling in the air.
Beautiful. You can see there is what appears to be a handful of very similarly dressed to the town guard, but slightly more important looking in a way. The armor slightly better, slightly shinier, and bearing the colors of Dura, the capital, are kind of gathering people round, and you can hear like the kind of echoes of what is being proclaimed drifting over to you, but it's not necessarily the easiest to make out what's being said thus far. And you can see there's probably only about 10, 20 of them. There seem to be kind of 5, 6 in this main group, and the rest are kind of fanning out and talking to other townspeople as they make their way around Belcrest.
Should we perhaps go see what the hubbub is about with this situation? We can always come back to the clock ruins, the clock tower of ruins, the ruined clock tower.
It's not going
Uptown.
anywhere, seemingly.
I'm interested to see what's going on.
Okay. So you head on over, and as you do, you see some of these other armored knights, effectively, from the looks of them, are spreading out further and further across town, and one of them was heading over in this sort of direction, and he starts to approach you. You see it is a dwarf, lovely, stout, dwarven warrior from the looks of it. He's got a large warhammer on his back, and he kind of comes stomping over to you a little bit, and kind of stands up, puffs the chest out, and hold! The Knights of Jura are looking for information.
Chester Fields, pleased to meet you.
Pleasure to make
That's
your
his
acquaintance too.
catchphrase.
Absolutely.
What sort
Warden.
of... this is Warden?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
This is Mira?
Hi. I'm Mira.
This is
Hello.
Linga?
What sort of information are you requiring?
That's a good question.
We are looking for information as to some recent attacks which have been happening all around the Sleeping Gardens. Various locations under Durin Hold, which you would know is effectively kind of the term for the cities, towns, and villages under the rule of the Kingdom of Jura. He says there have been seemingly one or two separate incursions from what we seem to be understanding. There have been a number of attacks around by an as yet unknown, unnamed group, and we are looking for any information that people are willing to provide. We are, of course, willing to pay for anything that is able to be provided to us, depending on the quality of the information. In particular, at the moment, we are looking for information pertaining to a band of goblins. They've been causing some trouble recently near Ebonwood, just north of here. So naturally, we came here to see if anybody around town had heard anything.
We talking a rock band, a hippity hoppity perhaps, country music? What kind of band?
Raiding party.
Is that some sort of jazz fusion? I'm not familiar.
He
Warren's just gonna look down at Mira, just be like, "Do I go now? Do I
Yeah.
talk? Do I talk?"
Yeah, you talk to them. You can talk. You can do it. I believe in you.
Warren's going to approach. Hello.
Hello. Is
What do you do here?
right. Well, kind of a bit taken aback by this rather large
You-
person stomping over
I feel
to
like
him.
even
and
Chester's a little taken aback, actually. Like,
the
You're
long
just giving him like
pauses.
double thumbs up.
And he, well, the Knights of Jura keep peace around Durin Hold. I'm sure you've probably heard about us. If you are around Jura, we are the law keepers and peacekeepers of the Kingdom of Jura.
Tell me more about this band of goblins.
Well, that's somewhat why we're asking around. We don't know a huge amount ourselves at the moment, but it seems they are heading into locations around the Durin Hold, and they are causing trouble. They're stealing food, they're damaging properties, there seem to have been numerous reports of fires being started. They, similar to most goblins in general, I don't mean to assume and generalize, but when it comes to goblin raiding parties, there tends to be very much sort of one modus operandi, if you catch my meaning.
Let us
Ew.
change the subject. I should go.
Okay.
okay,
He
Skyrim.
steps back.
You're just like giving him a thumbs up. You did really good.
You just get a thumbs up back.
Oh man.
Yes, most impressive. Wow. He turns to the guy. Just use the word incursion with regards to this goblin band. Where are they incurring from?
Well, that's
Does
part
no
of
one
what we're
see the
seeking information
goings?
about. Recently, there has
Ah.
been attacks on Ebonwood. So, they claimed they saw the goblin band coming from the east, but there were also conflicting reports that by the time they'd seen the goblins in town, it was too late to tell where they had actually come from. They just seemed to sort of pop up as goblins often do. It's just mayhem and carnage whenever they arrive.
You know, don't currently have information myself. I don't know if my compatriots here do.
No, I don't think I have any information, metaphorically speaking.
Well, they did mention an abundance of fire. Are we speaking levels one would expect with simple torches and naturally set blazes, or more grand displays of?
Well, we've had reports kind of back and forth on that. Similarly, Ebonwood recently very much seemed to be small, contained torch fire, just standard attacks. But on some of the other outposts around and nearby, in between Ebonwood and Belcrest, certainly there had been reports of fire raining down from the sky. But, of course, a lot of the time with these sorts of things, the heat of battle can make someone assume a flaming arrow is a wizard raining righteous flame down upon them, so that's why we're seeking more
Righteous.
information.
Wizards and our righteous flame, always. Well, on our travels here, my friend Mira and I, we did encounter not goblins, but rather unpleasant fellows in the woods, who did seem to have a bit of a penchant for fire. And then there was the thing here in the center of town with more people and more fire. Something about sun god, sun something something. I'm not very into religion.
And he kind of pulls out a small piece of parchment and starts scribbling a few notes down from what you're saying. And have you heard anything of this sun god since?
Well, to be honest, we've been a little out of the loop for a few days as we were dispatching a upset spirit thing from the college or the school, the manor, the Moss Manor. You know, the one down there. She's just kind of half waving. You know that.
Yes, we are the mighty adventurers who vanquished the foe. Perhaps you have heard of us. In fact, your compatriots, you use that word twice in the matter of minutes. Your compatriots in this town actually paid us for our services. So it's basically like we're a member of your organization at this point.
Excellent. Well, in that case, I suppose you won't mind being paid to go and investigate Ebonwood, then.
I never mind being paid.
If that's the line of business you're in, we could always use mercenaries.
Some negative connotations on that word, but getting paid to do stuff. Sort of a jack of all trades, master of many of the trades. I consider myself.
I see. Well, as I'd mentioned earlier, we are happy to pay for information of deemed good enough quality and anything, or mostly anything that can be dug up and provided back to us. So, if that is your inclination, I'm sure we could work something out.
Would I or any of us actually know how far away this Ebonwood is? Whereabouts?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you did you steal that guy? Oh no, you stole the map making tools, not the map itself.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a map. Oh, damn it.
I think
Well,
it was
he
attached
was-
to the wall.
Drawing a map.
Oh.
So I will say more probably intelligence checks, maybe no, I can see an argument for survival. Survival's kind of navigating usually. But I'll say your choice of survival or just straight intelligence. Anyone who wishes to do so.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's-
15.
What was the check? Survival?
Either survival or
Or survival.
intelligence, if you are that way inclined.
That's a 14.
Nice.
And it's slow rolling. But I think it's a 5.
And
5.
Chester, you said you got a 15?
15, yeah.
Excellent. So what was everyone's roll? So we got 19, 14, 15, 5. Excellent. Bear with me 1 second while I just do very quick maths in my head that I should have done before the session. So if that is...
Also, Linger is visibly relieved when Chester starts talking again. Like, takes a half step back and is like, thank God.
Thank you, out of character for that.
So I will say Chester was 15, wasn't it? So
Mhm.
Chester and Linger would know roughly it would be, considering journeys the both of you have taken to get to Belcrest so far and how far you've heard Ebonwood is from Belcrest in general, and its proximity to the capital, Jura, and Jura's relative location to Belcrest, you estimate probably around 2-ish days travel, day and a half to 2 days, depending on speed.
All right.
Oh, that sounds so bad.
Linger with the 19 probably knows it's about 50-ish miles to Ebonwood.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. She doesn't say that, but she knows it.
And it's getting kind of closer to where the Aegean Sea, so the sea that surrounds the continent of Azith,
Mhm.
where some of the kind of forking rivers and streams that run off of it start to
Oh,
enter
see that.
the land, and is connected to the main roads which lead to the Stitches. You would both know. The Stitches being a series of rather large, rather long bridges which connect one half of the continent to the other, since it was split by fallout from the War of the Gods,
Oh,
and large chunks of
Stitches, I
land
get it.
started
Is-
to break away.
I imagine that's a great place to break up with people and try to be funny because you're leaving them in stitches.
Wow.
Yeah.
You take
I
them
hope
out to
it's
the middle of the
canon.
bridge and you say, "I'm sorry, but not even the Stitches could hold us together."
Yeah.
And then you push them over the bridge and continue
Yeah,
on with your
it's-
life.
Yeah. It's
Um,
the only place in the whole world where just free form murder is allowed, just wholesale.
I mean,
As long as it's a breakup,
yeah.
totally fine.
In
You just
fairness,
have
one
to
of the
shout really loudly, "It's not me!" Push them.
in fairness,
It's you!
one of the Stitches is very close to Sigmir's Cove, which is pirates and outlaws abound. So,
Mm.
Yo-ho.
Perfect. Yeah, okay, cool. So basically, whatever Chester, if he's, indicates it's not that far.
Yeah, he
Then
would do that,
she
but
picks him up.
also sort of, excuse me, sir, if I could just have a moment with my, why the hell not, compatriots. That's
That's
right,
quite
3
all right.
times.
Woohoo!
And then he's going to sort of, put his massive arms around all of them in sort of a huddle to do one of these.
can get
All
the
right, well,
arms around all of them at once.
I have a possible tentative game plan, as I am wont to do from time to time. What do you think? It's about 11:30 according to the clock. We spend the rest of the day exploring that if we can, and set out tomorrow for these Abenwood and goblin folk investigation. Just an idea. I like throwing them out. See what's it.
That does seem acceptable to me. I know we will likely require funds to travel and seek out information on the thing. And she winks, tries to. It's awkward that we're going to be trying to find information on. So
Yes.
a little bit of work, some time on the clock. It's logical, is what I'm getting at. That is.
His chest sort of swells up at a logical, a clearly very smart person. Oh yes, it is. It is logical. You're right.
Excellent. Well, I think, having decided on a possible course of action, I'm trying something new this session, and we're going to have one break now very quickly. I'm thinking break, a little bit more session, then we'll have another break a little bit later on.
Okay.
Just to
Double
help
break.
split things up a
Wow.
little bit. Give people a bit of a breather and a bit of a stretch. So, we will be back here
Okay.
very shortly in 10 minutes. Bye.
Yay! I'm gonna try to make
And we're back. Not according to the stream delay, though. 6 minutes behind. So apologies
Mine's
for
at
that.
8.
Is it 8 or is it a 6?
Oh, mine.
Oh,
Oh,
Mine
excellent.
says 6.
Excellent.
I'm reloading mine. It freezes a lot for me.
Not sure what's caused the stream delay today, but apparently it's about 5 minutes and 47, 46, 45 behind. So apologies for that. Don't know why that's happening. But yes, where we had left off, you were heading back to the clock tower to do some investigating of your own before heading off to Ebonwood to look into goblin rumors.
All right, so just to recap the tower,
Mm-hmm.
Chester couldn't find a door. Was the stuff about Mira finding a door a gaff, or was that real?
Did I find a door? I thought
Oh no,
I
Mura
just
didn't
found
find
a
any doors or
rock.
anything. Mura was trying to phase through the side of the tower and saw a ley line.
Okay.
I was trying
Yeah,
to
I knew
be a
she saw the
door.
ley line, but there was the jokes about like the rock shifting, and then we talked about rings of power, and I got confused. So that's
Oh
why I
yeah, no,
recap.
that was because she was trying to phase through solid matter.
Right.
I'm
Okay,
not-
cool.
And Mitch was like, "You're not incorporeal," and I was like, "You don't know that."
You said, "Let me be clear."
The M. Night Shyamalan twist right there. Mura was dead all along.
Oh my god,
Join the club.
that would be really fucked up.
It's all just Chester. The end of this campaign is Chester saying, "I see dead people."
Oh my god, really fucked up. Not untrue, but really fucked up.
Okay. So, and the ley line runs from there to the school. That makes sense. They're both bases of arcane shenanigans.
Yes. And Mura, I believe, did see or sense the ley line. I think she sensed it. She didn't see it, but
I didn't
Yeah.
see it.
felt one running through or under the school.
Oh, maybe it's just
Yeah.
a little weaker over there. Who knows? Not an expert in ley lines.
Or she just couldn't see it through a solid wall at the time. Who knows? Mira doesn't.
Ah,
All right.
Head empty, no thoughts.
That is me currently.
I was gonna say that's
Oh.
also me. The music.
Yeah,
It is
I
also-
accidentally hit back on roll 20 and it just threw
Okay.
everything out of whack because it then it popped back in the chat that had been popped out, so we now no longer have the rolls on the stream, and then the music didn't because Kenku, which
Okay.
I'm using, seems to take a lot of resources, so when other resources
That's
start
unfortunate.
getting used, it just distorts and slows down.
For it. Well, I think we should being of the more academic variety myself and of the wizardly persuasion, I know from personal experience that wizards have a tendency to hide entrances via arcane means or
It's not Wizards, it's Hasbro.
but take it away, Chester.
Well, the possibility also exists of traps, perhaps time traps.
Oh, what
That's
do you
kinda-
think time traps are?
I think it's where you step in and it pops off, as it were, as a trap is wont to do, and suddenly you're a child again.
Whoa, okay. I thought a time trap was like a little box and it like sucked away like minutes and hours and stuff, and then you just held it there, and then you could step on it later and you'd release all this extra time, and you'd be like, oh my god, there's so many more hours in my day.
Not me
Mm.
frantically scribbling notes. New traps.
Whoa.
Oh, God.
to Mira creates traps. They're really
Yeah.
stupid.
There's this other trap that gives you thousands of gold and extra levels to your character. It's horrifying.
I heard that there
No.
were sometimes traps that you could step on, and then they like put a rope around your ankle, and then you're like dangling upside down, and you're like, ah!
Those are some of my favorite traps, to be fair. I do.
And you're like,
those.
oh no! How are 50 skirts staying glued to my body like this instead of falling over my head?
Love my comical Ewok traps. Let's go.
Yeah.
I enjoy placing them almost exclusively in goblin or kobold areas because Ewoks are very similar. Thinks back to the kobold caves where Gunark dodged a sack of flour and then had a kobold-sized net dropped on him, but because it's kobold-sized, the weights on the bottom swung round and hit him in the nuts. And that was the real trap.
Not the nuts.
How would one penetrate this tower, would you think? Probably Linga, since you seem to know of wizardly towers, perhaps? I was unable to find a door.
Mira looks over to Ward and is like, let's penetrate. And then she like lets them continue with their conversation. Sorry. I just feel like that's not a word that she's heard before or used correctly. I'm sorry to ruin the
poor
moment.
girl.
I'm so
I thought
sorry.
you'd said let's penetrate, and that's why I was like,
I ruined Lindsay's life. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I woke up on the struggle bus. I told you guys I haven't had medicine in a month now. Thoughts are very hard.
Oh, we're sending you all of the ADHD, ADD love from the ADHD, ADD crew. Hands up.
Ah.
Bro, if I don't have medicine one day, I'm like dead to the world.
Yeah, it's hard. Rip and I could give it another look over, see if we could find any runes. Perhaps Warden could assist you in looking for any places that the stonework doesn't quite seem to match up, or that the moss could be growing in an unusual pattern. Anywhere you suddenly turn into a child, I suppose, would be an option.
Okay. Should we test that theory? Should we just like walk around until one of us turns into a kid? I think it would be really great because like, first of all, it can't last forever, right? But if Chester turns into a kid, right, he's gonna be like a little fuzzy bear. And if Warden turns into a kid, he's just gonna be like a smaller armor guy. And if I don't know, if I turn into a kid, I'll just be like I'll have like so many layers of clothes. I'll just be like, you know. And if you turn into a kid, you're just gonna like be this like baby, and it's gonna be so cute. And yeah, like first of all, I think all of these options are great.
I will admit I was an adorable child.
I feel like that's gotta be true because like you're fuzzy now, but could you imagine if you were small and it was the same amount of fun?
I'm practically an Ewok at that point.
I don't know what that is. I've never known.
Again.
Wait, okay, you were you just like a smaller suit of armor?
No,
Were you just a regular suit of armor?
no.
Mira like does that thing that dogs do when they're very confused by like this. Yeah.
Huh? I don't understand.
the head tilts.
What kind of kid were you then?
Well, that would work.
You know what? Revisit. We'll circle back. We'll take it offline. We'll We'll
We'll put a pin in that.
yeah, we'll put a pin in that. We'll schedule a meeting
We'll table it
for
for now.
us. We'll table it. Just-
Pencil it in. And
Yeah, we'll
we'll-
pencil it in. I'll get you on the schedule. I've got some time blocks happening right now, so like
we'll workshop it.
yeah, we'll workshop. So I'm so sorry, Linger. I'm so sorry. I've been distracted.
I swear to God, this meeting could have been an email.
Wow. I'll just slack it to you. I'll slack it to you later.
I just realized that's my second character that I make office jokes with on this
I love it.
podcast.
I hope anyone that's
Just-
watching is just
Perhaps Mira, just go start touching. Just touch the tower everywhere you want to touch it. Just go.
Okay.
Go
ham.
wild.
Yep, Mira goes. She's like, she's
You
been
don't have
given
to tell her
permission and
twice.
off she goes.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, I'll see you later. And then she goes and she is like, the tower is there, and Mira is doing that thing that I do in video games where I'm like, I have to explore every single inch of this place. So she's touching every little
Yeah.
bit of the
Like
tower.
in Get Him to the Greek, where they take the acid and they rub the fuzzy wall.
I've not seen that, but yes, that is the vibe.
And while Mira is rubbing the furry wall, Linger and Rip will look for anything that feels like it could be arcane writing, any draconic, any runes,
Yep.
any interesting ways that the lines of the stonework line up.
Give
And then-
me your choice of either an Arcana or investigation check. Mura as well with an investigation check if you're just touching everything.
Oh
Nice.
yeah. You want to assist me or you want to assist Lindsay?
I've got Rip.
Yeah, I'll assist Mira.
Can he help
Cool.
me?
I think Mira needs help.
Yes, Mitch, can Warden assist me?
Sorry? Can Warden assist you? Is Warden proficient?
Yeah. No. Warden's, are you proficient in investigation?
No.
No.
Then probably not. Sorry, I got distracted by my fountain pen slowly rolling towards the edge of my desk and about to drop onto my grey carpet and spill black ink everywhere.
Sorry, Ethan. Mitch has rules, I guess.
Yeah.
So either a 22 or a 24, depending on if you let Rip help.
Well, Rip is able to do that now as a familiar. They can take the help.
Yeah, it's just up to you if you felt like it was appropriate. Because I don't
Yeah.
push it every time. Like there's some stuff I'll ask for and some I won't.
Yeah.
It's like he's not
I'll
going to help
allow
her
it.
with like a strength check.
Tiny
You
little
know,
Rip.
it's stupid. But technically by the rules, that's allowed. It's a dumb rule. But yeah. He
you
is
know,
her
I'll allow it.
assistant though, so okay. So 24.
I got a
yeah,
5.
5. Okay. Mira, you don't really feel anything particularly of note. But Linger,
Yes.
you're kind of, as you're looking around, and presumably Rip kind of runs around the other side of the tower, and occasionally you're just kind of flicking backwards and forwards between your point of view and his as he's running the perimeter, and that's how he's assisting you. There we go. You do notice around the side there is kind of like a small arc of draconic runes.
Ooh. All right. So just got to figure out how to activate this or something. Well, if they're draconic, because she can just read it, then she'll try to read it.
It's not any draconic,
Open.
you know. No, I'm not that mean.
Oh, don't you pull that on me! What a-
It's
Mm.
ancient draconic. Twiddles
Yes,
moustache
it's-
evilly.
This is- You know a more modern version of draconic. It's riddled with slang and popular terms.
Kill me now.
Oh, it happened to me. It happened to me. Oh, you know. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. Made me so mad. Got sprung on me too. It wasn't like explained in the session 0. Anyway, so
Yes.
she's going to read enter friend, speak friend and enter.
Yes.
Enter friend and speak.
Well, similar. It says, "Fuck right off."
Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me.
No, it says, effectively in much more flowery language. A variation of, if you have once again forgotten the key, knock twice on the count of 3.
So 1 knock, 2 knock, 3.
Who knows?
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, where are you doing it?
She'll on under the arch, I guess, like as if that was where the door is. She'll just knock on the upbeats and the 1, 2, 3 count.
Okay. So you're doing it. You're counting 1, 2, 3, knock. 1, 2, 3, knock. Is that what I understand?
Oh no,
from what
I
you're
was
doing?
being way more convoluted about it, and literally like it's a 3 count beat, and she's doing it on the upbeat. So 1 knock,
Excellent.
2 knock, 3.
Excellent. Cool. I was trying to decode what was being given to me. Excellent.
No.
Okay. You do so, and there is a brief pause before the runes flash, and you see, kind of starting up from the bottom left corner as Rip's kind of tugging on your leg and pointing, a small spark that then just slowly travels up about 7 feet before suddenly stopping, traveling across a few feet, and then traveling down, almost in the shape of a door.
Is this a push or a pull? We will find out. She tries to push.
Yeah, you see no handle. You push the door, and it slowly grinds open.
She looks to Chester if he's around, invisible, and attempts a flourish with her hands. It's not great. She doesn't quite have the wrist snap going very well, or she does.
We can
but it
practice
gets
that.
stuck.
That's a
Yeah.
fine start. You know, you're not starting from nothing. You can go upwards, but that's a good start.
Ta-da, I believe, is the. Is
Yeah,
that-
you traditionally said a little quicker, but again, you're not starting from 0, which is important.
Well, try to take more notes.
That'll do. Well, who cares to go first into this mysterious tower? I will volunteer if nobody else does.
I can go first.
Okay.
And you can as well hear very faint murmuring behind you as townspeople are like, "Oh my god, are they... what?" And they're just seeing you guys fiddle around with the tower that usually no one really touches, and now there's a door.
Nothing to worry about here, folks. Nothing to see. We're just investigating this tower. We know what we're doing, clearly. How else would we have opened it? Go back to your business. Team... Oh, we don't have a team name yet. Team TBD name is on the case.
Make a persuasion check.
Yeah. I think I'm good at it. It's a shitty roll. 10.
I mean, even still, people had noticed you guys come into town. There'd been speak of you. The word has started to spread about Moss Point Manor. A few people just kind of shrug, dismiss, and start continuing about whatever it was they were doing. The rest continue to stand and stare.
You call us Team TBD.
Yeah, that's a sort of a placeholder until we, come up with something ourselves. which I'm
Oh.
open to ideas.
I thought TBD stood for like the best dudes, or like
The best dudes. Hmm.
it's an option, or
Mhm.
like the behemoth diggers, or like that banging door. Yep, like cause
The banging door,
yeah,
yes.
cause Linger knocked on the door and is banging.
That's true.
Or
I
like
say we continue to think on it.
yeah,
It doesn't have to be decided right away.
yeah, of course.
All right.
But as you stand at this threshold, you can see kind of like past the doorway into what seems to be a very ruined entryway.
Right. So Ruin is going to punish Warden. Did I say Ruin?
You said Ren. You
Oh.
said Ren.
Oh, okay. Warden
your
is
other-
going. Warden's going to draw his sword and step in.
Okay. You guys watch as kind of in the doorway itself almost seems to ripple like water as Warden just steps through and seems to just vanish.
Hmm.
Like
Mira
platform.
runs in after him.
Time stuff.
What?
No,
Both
it's
of
too
you.
late.
As
She's
you
gone.
cross this threshold, it's almost like you're pushing through a membrane which suddenly just gives way and you slightly stumble through into what you expected to be this ruined entryway that you saw is instead this perfectly polished marble floor, torch sconces all around this kind of circular room with a large spiral staircase up the middle leading up through the ceiling. Everything looks pristine in here, and you watch as what seems to be a serving tray almost is just kind of bobbing over to you like someone, like it would be if someone were walking and holding it. And it just kind of bobs over to you, and you can see there's some kind of small glasses with water from the looks of it in them.
Water.
Mira grabs the glass of water.
She drinks it.
he stops her.
Oh,
No.
Stop.
She does not drink it.
The other two outside, you watch Mura shout no and also disappear.
As soon
As
as Chester
there's
said
ripples.
times, yes. As soon as Chester said time stuff, Mira like turned around and was like, no, but she was already like too far into it and just like fell. Because I'm so sorry. That's just who Mira is as a person.
Do we look any different?
You look at Mura. Mura looks no different. You look down at your hands and oh my god, no, they're fine.
They're hot dogs.
I have Mura's hands. No.
That's an everything everywhere all at once reference. Thank you.
Great movie.
I haven't seen it
Chester's-
yet, but I know that there are hot dog hands in it. So
There's Chester's gonna look for a stick because whenever there's a portal or something like this, you gotta poke it with a stick. So
Yeah, easy enough to
Stick
find a
search.
stick. You poke it. You see again kind of the ripples like how the two of them had hit what seems to be this almost liquid surface, judging by how it ripples.
Right. Warden, like holding Mira by like the back of the neck, or wherever, is just gonna reach through and just like gesture, come on in.
You see a hand emerge and gesture.
oh, okay, cool. All right. If he sees what appears to be Warden's hands, well, it's good enough for me. He has not steered
Yeah.
me wrong yet, and he'll pop through.
Linger and Rip will also follow after kind of straightening her collar and getting her notes ready to take.
Linga knows what might happen. It's note-taking time.
I love that Warden's holding Mira like a fucking lion holds a lion pup by the fucking scruff. Yeah. Like, hey, dumbass.
As the other two step through, you see another similar tray with 2 glasses on come bobbing over.
Belvedere, is that you? Oh
You
no.
hear nothing.
Okay.
Warden won't let me drink it.
I don't know what it is.
Very prudent. Well, let me have a little smell first. See if it smells like anything good.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I should have smelled it.
Yeah, you smelling it?
Yep.
Smells like water.
Smells like water. Sounds like water. Looks like water. Taste, and he'll take a drink.
Like acid!
Oh no!
Is it one of those things where if you drink it, you could never leave because you ate the food that was here? Oh no, we didn't think of this before
It
we let
tastes
Chester
like water.
drink.
It does
Or-
indeed taste like water.
Yeah, it does taste like water.
But-
Huh.
Very, very nice and refreshing water.
Very
Like
nice
spring
and
water?
refreshing.
Is it Fiji
Crispest
water? Has it
water.
been chilled?
Absolutely.
water.
Just perfectly chilled.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
Oh,
is smart
lovely.
water your bottled water preference?
No.
Okay. I mean, I wasn't gonna judge you, but I was.
Again,
Um,
glad that's a universal thing and not just a here thing. Cool. 'Cause
also
same.
before she steps in, Linger's gonna just a little 8 hours of mage armor, just pop that on, and then step through the water.
Please tell me you tell Mira to do that too.
Yeah, as soon as she walks in, she taps her like shimmery shell, and Mira,
Oh yeah.
we don't know
Mira's-
where we are. Safe,
Well,
safety first.
We're inside the
We are,
place.
but we don't know what else is here with us,
water.
other than the things that we don't know, not the things that we do know, dear.
Two things. Two things. Definitely. Hold on. I have to man. Oh my god. Okay, I'm going to cast mage armor. Yes. And then I'm gonna, while I say it's water, I'm gonna cast shape water and pull the water out of the glass, but not really do anything with it, and then just let it fall at my feet and be like, water. That's it.
Nice.
I will not abuse shape water. I wish I could, but I won't.
As the water hits the ground, you can see coming from around behind the staircase a towel just bobbing up and down and slowly lowers and just starts moving in a circular motion, cleaning up the water.
Mira kicks her feet and she's like,
Put me down. Put me down. I want to see the
Don't put her
moving
down.
towel.
yes.
I hope you've enjoyed Linger. She's going to stay here now. This is the perfect home for her.
I'm rolling up a new character, says Lindsay.
Yeah, you've given her a wizard tower. So
Mira's hunched over the towel.
It's like, how are you doing that?
I don't know, says the towel. No. Help me!
I'm probably peaked then. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you ask the towel how it is doing things. The towel does not answer.
I looked into the towel and the towel looked back.
You stared too
Would-
deep into the towel and something stared back at you.
Would excuse me? Would me having the spell Unseen Servants perhaps give me a clue what's going on with all these
You
seemingly unseen
do
servants?
definitely recognize the
Alright.
gently bobbing movement of an unseen servant.
This appears I believe you've only met him the one time, as he gave me a massage when we were reading in the library. However, I believe these are the unseen servant variety. On that note, excuse me, gentle servants, could you perhaps direct us to the owner of this domicile?
One of the silver trays turns and starts heading towards the stairs.
Well, if we wish to meet the proprietor, we could follow that.
Yeah, I think we should because I want to meet someone who has so many invisible friends.
That is Be good. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either.
I also have invisible friends, but they don't do stuff like this. They just
They whisper in the night.
let's put a pin in that. I'll slack you about it later.
Warden will follow. He'll put a sword away.
Mira will try to jump on Warden's back and slide off very slowly.
He'll help her up.
Okay,
Thanks.
Excellent. So you head up this very fine mahogany staircase, which spirals its way up through the ceiling to a second floor, which, to presumably Linger's joy, as you
Oh yeah.
emerge,
She's looking for
you see
spare anything.
all around this circular, again, this kind of circular space. This one seems to have widened out much further than the entry floor below. Rows upon rows upon rows of bookshelves.
Do you think they all have words in them?
And the staircase
We're
continues to
about to
spiral
find
upwards.
Rip is gonna stay on this level and start cataloging. Mm,
The Dewey Decimal
Prepping.
System begins here. The RIP Decimal System.
the Rippy decimal system.
Yeah,
The
fuck that
RDS.
Dewey guy.
The ARP. Yeah.
The OGL. Sorry.
So Rip stays on this level as you see the silver tray continuing its ascent up the stairs. Kind of stopping if it is continuing without you too far. It kind of stays about 3 feet ahead of you, and once it reaches that point, if no one is close enough behind, it kind of just stops.
Well, Winchester is following anyway.
I'm on Warden's back, so
Where he goes, I go.
There you go. I'm like
Um,
a familiar.
oh, sorry, I punched my mic. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. You continue up the spiraling staircase to a third floor, which has an area very much similar size to the entryway, and the staircase ends here as you come up to what is now this floor. You can see around you are in effectively, if you were to draw it on the ground, the shape of a 5-pointed star is a set of 5 doors. And you watch as the silver tray just continues straight ahead, and one of the doors kind of swings open as it approaches.
I do like a selection of doors because you never know what's going to be behind a door. Very exciting. He says as he follows the unseen servant with the one door that opens.
If there are 5 doors, wait a minute. If there are 5 doors and there are 4 of us and one of the invisible guys, we could each go through a door, right?
That will
Yeah.
end amazingly. Pebble agrees, if you heard that in the background.
Yeah, I think it would.
I feel like Mira tries to implement this plan by trying to get off of Warden's back. However, I feel like Warden does not let that happen. But obviously that's up to you.
Better hope not.
Let me down.
I think it's best to stay together.
Fine.
So are you all following the unseen servant through the door then?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, as
Excellent.
far as Linger is concerned, we got nothing but time.
You fall off the ledge into the lava trap below.
I'm
You all-
immune to lava.
You all head through the door, and you find yourselves in what appears to be a very well-lit, very large study from the looks of it. You can see shelves lining the walls with all sorts of kind of almost mason jar-esque jars with all manner of what seems to be foliage, and I mean, you can't quite tell from this distance, but possibly creatures or insects moving around inside them. And they just line these shelves that are lining the walls, and no more than about 15 feet from you, you can see a rather somewhat short figure hunched over a desk.
Hello, sir. I do not mean to intrude on your work. However, we are here.
The figure jumps. Hello, Pebble. Kind of just starts and turns around in the chair. You see as they turn around, the chair kind of like tips over and they start very emphatically, very hurriedly, almost like power walking towards you, swishing this the tails of this long-tailed coat behind them as they do so. You see
Chester sort of got his hands up in a sign this.
You see rather average size for an elf, kind of just around 5-ish foot. So, well, I say average, somewhat on the taller end of elf. But still, as he sweeps this kind of long-tailed coat behind him, and is rushing towards you, you can see he's got kind of just up to the it would almost, if it wasn't swept back, it would be touching the bottom of his chin, kind of swept back black hair that's almost kind of greased back in a way.
Ew.
There is a very, very thin beard just from the lower lip down to just below the chin, but you all would presumably immediately take notice of the very glorious, very long, very twiddled moustache that just stretches a full kind of almost kind of 7-8 inches off each side of his face as he is just striding towards you. Ah, visitors, it's been a long time since I've had visitors. Hello, how do you do? Hello.
Chester Fields, pleased to meet you. Pleased to
Chester
meet
Fields,
you.
excellent. And he kind of sticks out a hand ready to grab for the handshake.
Chester shakes it warmly.
He kind of like clutches your big paw in both hands and is just emphatically, excellent. Bugbear. Been quite some time since I've seen one of those. And he reaches up into one of the breast pockets of the suit jacket and pulls out a monocle and just affixes it to one eye.
Yes, drink it in. I understand. This happens to me all the time. Please,
certainly one of
please.
the more well-groomed bugbears I've ever seen in my certainly
well, thank
much more
you,
civilized than many of the others I've ever seen in my time. Sorry, I do apologize. I'm rather talking quite over you, but quite excited. It's been some time. Well, my manners, of course. Where are my manners? I am, no doubt, the master of this tower, Salimbor Varley. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
That's a cool name.
Thank you. That is a
Great.
very cool assortment of attire that you are wearing.
Thanks, I like your coat. Like,
Me
did
too.
you make that? Or where'd you get it? Because, like, I gotta get me one of those,
Well,
you know?
I asked my servants and they made it for me.
Okay, like,
But the pockets are rather deep. And he opens up one side of the coat and just you see the arm disappear down to the elbow and come back out holding a large tome.
whoa! Okay, look. I don't know what to, I mean, like, if you need help or something and we
The
help
pockets
you.
I did myself.
Oh, that's really cool. Could I get a coat like that maybe? Like, just, you know, if you need help and we help you. Metaphorically speaking.
Potentially, we'll see. We'll see
Ooh, okay.
where the encounter takes us, shall we?
Yeah, I love encounters.
Okay, just real quick, out of character.
Yes.
Valley, this is like, he's been out of circuit for like a long time, right? This is an old ruin,
Yes.
or am I remembering? So like this
You are
should be
remembering
surprising.
correctly.
This guy is alive and here.
Absolutely.
Well,
Fantastic.
Chester did plan to ask him what year he thinks it is, just to see.
Yeah, that was just for Lindsay to be like, is remembering? Okay.
What year is it?
Linger is silently processing.
As in the current year in Eroth, right now.
Yes,
40,
not
40,
like the
50.
current year on Earth.
I mean, you never know.
True, fair.
The current year is
4050.
yes, it's the 4050th year of the Second Era.
Okay.
Yeah, so with that knowledge in mind, excuse me, Mr. Senabor Valley.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, what year do you think it is? Because I believe there's some timey, let's go ahead and call it whammy business going on.
Yes, most certainly. As he continues just adjusting the monocle and is kind of squinting one-eyed through it at everyone in turn whilst thinking through the question. You are certainly not wrong there. You see, I did somewhat anger Darafiel with my machinations of time. I assume I pissed him off. I do appear to have gotten myself somewhat trapped within the bounds of the tower. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. People do seem to be able to come and go, though. Worry not, worry not. It has certainly been, by my count, I do believe it would have been somewhere around a century since the last person got trapped here and died because they couldn't get out. But that was mostly his own fault.
Yeah, what a dumbass.
Just so we avoid the same fate, how exactly did this happen to this individual, would you say?
I do believe he just lost track of time.
Would
Is that
this
a poet?
person happen to be you?
No, I'm still very much alive.
Oh,
Are we sure? Mira grabs his wrist and tries to feel his pulse.
Yeah, you feel a pulse.
I mean, being
We just-
active doesn't necessarily denote being alive, so you
Very
know.
much seem to be. Are you familiar with the concept of a demiplane? As he kind of
Yes.
twirls
No.
the little
Of
patch of beard.
course.
Absolutely.
You see,
No.
What is this? My first year? Ugh.
Quite. This tower was designed to encapsulate my very own demiplane of a sort. Somewhat akin to the Magnificent Mansion spell, if you're at all familiar with the workings of that. And you see, I don't know whether I got the spell in and of itself somewhat incorrect, or whether it's my experiments since, but I have since trapped myself within this demiplane, and time really does not seem to progress much here, if at all, as far as I seem to be able to tell.
You're not going to turn us into kid versions of ourselves by sucking time away.
I could certainly try.
That would be cool.
It would be quite an
I mean-
interesting experiment.
Yeah.
I do not believe that is why we're here, though.
But my apologies, my rudeness. The two of you, your names are...
Oh, me?
No, I believe you're Mura, correct? And you're Chesterfields. And you are
Ah,
I'm Warden.
Warden. Pleasure to meet you. And
And call me Linger.
What do you do here?
Rip.
what do I do? Well, I do a little bit of everything here. Mostly research, experiments, study, continue on my investigations of the arcane and my attempts to unbind myself from this demiplane and perhaps exit the tower. Outside of that, I do enjoy a bit of light jazz every now and then. Not dare say I'm not particularly good at it, though.
I actually played for a time in a sort of a jazz fusion band we were called Octarine Floyd.
Interesting. I've not heard of those, but perhaps that's somewhat either. Well, I say either. Definitely after my time, I would assume. Just kind of twirls the end of the moustache.
That is true. I guess we would have been, yeah.
But
Has anyone ever come in
brings
here
you
with
here?
a? Oh,
Sorry. No, continue. You were saying.
Yeah, just sort of a curiosity, about the situation. Has anyone ever tried to put you in a bag of holding and take you out of here?
Yes, and I advised against that. It's quite hard to breathe inside one of those, and I think I would
What if
likely suffocate before that were to occur.
what
I
if
just
we
curious.
did it and then we just let your head stick out?
It could potentially remove my head from my body. I don't quite know how this is part of my
Yeah.
research. You see, the interaction of demiplane and demiplane, or a demiplane within a demiplane. The bag of holding in and of itself does seem to contain its own pocket dimension, and whilst placing a demiplane inside of the pocket of the bag of holding itself would cause catastrophic results, opening a bag of holding in and of itself inside of my tower certainly doesn't seem to have had the same effect. Otherwise, I would have disappeared years ago.
Ha ha ha. How do we get out of here?
The front door.
Oh, wait, why haven't you left then?
Because I seem to have bound myself to the tower. Unintentionally.
Oh,
And quite
whoopsie.
irrevocably.
Mm,
Such things
Wow.
happen in the machinations of a wizard experimenting with the arcane. I'm sure you understand.
oh yeah, I know what all those words mean.
Yes.
Nothing
Linger
ever
is just
goes
nodding
wrong
along.
with experimentation. I don't know.
Machinations.
Macadamias, it's all.
I do have seen when arcanes go too far.
Surely, if an experiment does not go
Kids
wrong
wild.
at least once, what is the point of the experiment?
Indeed.
Yeah,
Very noble sentiment.
I've seen I've read many papers about like Arcanus gone wild. They're
You
very
have?
crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you come
She
across
has
any of
not.
mine?
No, I've never heard of you before.
A shame, a shame.
Yeah, you seem pretty wild, honestly.
I do try. I prefer the term eccentric.
Oh my god.
I don't know. Is there anything like sitting out that like Linger can kind of casually? I mean, obviously she's going to respect a wizard's property because you don't just touch another wizard's stuff and not expect to get zapped by something. But you can kind of casually like walk by and peek
Yep,
at.
I mean, there are the shelves very nearby you that are lining the walls that have all of these jars and what seem to be kind of small terrariums inside them of various small plants and whatnot. But if Linger's casting an eye over them, she can certainly do so.
Yeah, she does. She's gonna just go
Give me a
over
little
and
perception check.
a little perceptioning.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone's perceiving.
Well, I'm trying, but computer, hello.
When your music like does the like slowing down Mitch, it is so funny to me.
Is it doing it at the moment?
Well,
I'm
It
not
did
here.
it for a
A
second.
second there.
Oh.
Yeah.
come on.
Oof.
Why isn't it?
We've had a
Better.
2 and a
Oh, there we go.
16.
Oh, ignore the 16. That was me. Like, is it doing anything?
Okay, cool.
Oh.
I mean, it's not super hard to see necessarily what's going on inside these jars. But we'll say because of the nat 1 and the 2 in the perception. For a start,
Yeah.
you get your inspiration because you rolled a nat 1, and we like house rules
yeah.
here, because that's a
Hell
table
yeah.
rule now. Um,
Statement
But-
coming soon.
We'll
I would
say
love to play the rest of this without any more references to that stuff. Would be
Lindsay's gonna kill
spot
us.
on.
Lindsay's gonna kill us.
I mean, as you're starting to peer into the jar, because it's not particularly hard to see what's going on inside it, but you've rolled poorly. We'll say a flash from Rip takes over your vision as he is peeking around all the books downstairs, and at this moment has spotted just a line of, or I say a row of spell books just all about kind of necromancy, things coming back to life intentionally, unintentionally, how something may potentially survive death and continue on even though it shouldn't have, and then towards the end of it, books that start leaning towards study of the goddess of death, and you kind of figure maybe that's just, let's have a peek into that and see if that has any influence on possible arcane comings and goings of death and life.
Would you mind if I took a peek at some of these books over in this specific area here? She
Are
points
you
with her tail.
asking
Yeah.
the wizard
She
or myself?
looks over her shoulder, like gestures with her tail, that's kind of like
They're
circling around.
downstairs in the library.
Oh, that's right.
Where
Okay,
Rip
well then she
is.
points. Okay, sorry. Then she'll point at the floor. There's a selection of books downstairs that my familiar is let me know that I might be interested in. Would it be all right if I were to take a look?
He
Point,
squints
point, point.
very hard at you through the monocle and, well, I would say it's all right if you trade me some information. What familiar do you have, and do they have a name?
A rip is a modified version of the spell. You're welcome to meet him if you would like.
I would love to do so once you have finished browsing those books. You may depart. Thank you for the information.
She takes her dead ass downstairs to look at books.
It is always a
Yes.
pleasure to meet another wizard's familiar. It can often tell you quite a bit about that wizard. But and just claps his hands together and wheels around on the rest of you. What is it that brings you here? Simply curiosity, study of the arcane, penchant for knowledge, something specific that you sought from a powerful wizard such as myself, as all the lights darken around you and you hear rumbling thunder.
Ooh, most impressive, most impressive.
Thank you, and the lights return to normal.
We quite often start from a base of curiosity and see what unfolds from there. So yeah, I do believe
That's
that
how
would,
I got trapped in this tower. Don't
Oh, boy.
do that to yourself, please.
It
can send one
on
quite
the note of
insane.
the trapping. Do you wish to leave?
I would very much like to do so,
Yeah.
and I'm very much grateful for assistance in said research, which I am currently, as he kind of scratches at his chin, embarking upon myself, making slow progress, but no rush. I have all the time in the world.
Like until you die, right?
Presumably, but I haven't really aged much since what I currently refer to as the fuckening.
I'm sorry, the what?
The fuckening. The
Oh,
small amount of fuckery in which I managed to trap myself here.
yeah.
The skullduggery, if you prefer.
I like that better.
Do you have ideas or ways in which you could go about leaving this place?
Well, It's certainly an interesting one. You see, well, ruminations of the planes are certainly something that aren't necessarily discussed much. Certainly, as I understand it, people have been incarcerated for such things, although it's not been so rampant as I last remember it, although as I understand from many of the visitors to my tower since in the past few thousand years, it would appear that such discussions have become very much outlawed and frowned upon. But pocket dimensions and pocket planes are certainly much less frowned upon and incarceration worthy. It would appear that when I was tampering with the temporal magics, which I bound to, no doubt, the clock you've seen on the front of my, that still stands, right?
Yes.
It does. Yeah, I'm not there.
Excellent.
Let me
Was
mute
that
myself.
Linda? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm muted.
She's just saying yes, that box. Yes.
Rip's like, does this book help? And Linga, yes, it does. There you go. As I understand, there's been a bad interaction between the temporal magics that I bound to the clock and the magics which I bind to the demiplane in order to keep this demiplane around. Are you at all familiar with the planes, or are you one of those that frowns upon it as heresy?
I am very
Or one that
familiar
simply
with
just
about
knows
any.
nothing about it?
Nah, any subject you bring up, I'm probably deeply familiar with.
Make a deception check.
Yeah.
Oh god, he's not rolled amazingly
Dirty
himself.
20.
Excellent! Always happy to have another scholar on board.
Ah, yes.
So I assume you are familiar with the grand cosmology in and of itself, and the various
Yes, the
ruminations
planes.
and discussings of the possibility of other planes of existence.
Yes. Yeah. Planes. Mm.
It is my understanding that the demi-planes exist on the branches of the tree, which runs through the plains, and if that is to be believed, and these demi-planes inhabit small pockets on the edge, almost like leaves on the tree, if we are to say so. And I believe that the time magics and the planar magics do not necessarily mingle so well together, and by so suffusing this tower with temporal magic, and then also suffusing it with the magics of the planes, I caused a reaction that I didn't quite consider before I did my experimentation, assuming that the experimentation wouldn't have the effects that it has had. I should have carried out smaller scale experiments beforehand.
Well, that's what I was going to say about the situation. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Meanwhile, as the magical, omniscient camera watching you all pans back downstairs to the library, as Linga is just kind of drifting along the rows of books, taking a look at all the spines, you are greeted with many, many books on many, many subjects as you're approaching the particular section that Rip had pointed out to you. You see scars of the Archeron, ruminations on the angels, all of those sorts of fancy, flowery titles. And then as you start to come towards this somewhat dustier section, as it often tends to be, where Rip has been patiently waiting and pointing, you are greeted by It's a small collection of about 20 or so books. They don't necessarily all seem directly related to each other, but they all bear sort of similarly flowery names in a way. You have your 7 inscriptions on life and death, with no author to be seen on the book, and as you pull it from the shelf and give a brief flip through, it's kind of split into 7 chapters, each one assessing various aspects of life and death in and of themselves. So this very much seems to be a how much can be directed towards the arcane and how much can be directed towards what this particular author describes as the more fantastical elements of the influence of the gods. There is brief reference to the god of death, which is probably a particularly interesting reference, given that you are more familiar with references to the goddess of death. And as you continue on down the line, there are books on the raising and binding of undead, attempts at creating spells which can return a soul to a body, very much similar to the rumors of powerful prayers of the faithful who can request souls be returned to their bodies by various deities, but generally only agreed by the goddess of death. Is there anything particularly you're looking for? Linger?
They muted.
I was about to
She's
say
having
you
a-
might be muted.
Yeah, you might be muted.
I did it so that I wouldn't talk, or that I would talk, we would hear it. Okay. So she's looking through all of that stuff, definitely taking note of the masculine use of God rather than, well, or I guess it could also be a genderless, just saying God instead of goddess. But the lack of the S is notable. That's what we're getting at. But she's looking for anything related to reversing or reviving the dead, specifically utilizing any blood magic manipulations along with the necromantic stuff, if there is any mention of that. And also just sort of skimming for particular names. I don't know how old this book is, like if it's older than 500 years or not.
Okay. I'll say give me a very brief investigation check, just to see if you, like, what specifics are caught effectively.
22. I'm also going through our messages trying to find a specific name.
That's quite all right. With the 22, you come across first one that very much catches your attention, is this kind of crimson leather bound book. As you pull it from the shelf in this, really the only way I can think of describing the spidery writing is just think of like when black metal bands write their names and it's almost imperceivable, but just enough that you can make out the writing. As it's like fluffy sheeples, but all lightning and death, and
Yeah.
But
Looks like you literally took a bunch of spiders and hit them with your shoe and was like, "That's our band name."
yes, exactly. But you do manage to make out with the book. You do manage to make out across the
He presses
face
her
of the
book
book.
against that book, and now the case.
It does say the mourning codex, and that's mourning as in mourning someone who has died. Not like, oh, good morning.
Okay, the Morning Codex.
Yes.
Does that sound familiar to her at all?
Make a history check.
I will
Or an
make a
arcana
history
check, your choice. Because books of magic. I've just given the wizard the chance to make an arcana check.
No, just an 8. Yeah.
It feels like it should be, but you just
Okay.
can't quite put your finger on if you have or haven't heard it, or if it's just memories that are jumbled up in your head a bit and you're putting two words together that wouldn't have, or two book titles together that were two separate books. You can't. It's just that the jumble of memories that are returning are a bit loud at the moment.
Okay. So many things. Well, she's got, the book probably brings up other memories
Yes,
from other things that have happened. And,
exactly.
She's in a wizard's library. That's very exciting, I'm sure.
It's all.
Yeah,
That's why
it's
she
a lot.
ditched you guys. She's like, it's a real one.
It's most certainly a lot. But
I mean,
as
yeah,
you-
she could be asking the wizard questions, but there's books.
Are you flipping through the book or just looking at it?
Oh yeah, we'll flip through the books.
As you flip through the
Flippy
book,
flip.
the book stares. You kind of flip open the front cover, as is often the case. You see in much more legible writing the Morning Codex, ruminations on necromancy and hemomancy, and the combination of the two, by the Grand Wizard Syldaris.
Oh my. Wait, that's the name of this
He
campaign.
said the thing. He said the thing.
Burp, burp, burp. Alarm bells.
Yeah, she immediately dives in. Just dives the fuck in.
Yeah. The first few pages are very much the classic woe to you, the unwary reader who has begun their delving into the arcane tyranny of hemomancy. And Linga's like, yeah, okay, cool, bored of that now. You know, every wizard book comes with some form of disclaimer and warning. That's
and
how you
conditions.
know you found the good ones.
Yeah.
And the first few pages after that seem to detail a number of formula for spells which could be related to this manipulation of blood or life essence. It's certainly, and you kind of flip back to that disclaimer at the front of the book, there's very much warnings of there are few complete spells held inside this book, but the formula do remain here for those who are daring enough to complete and seek them. It's not necessarily I'm giving you a half-finished spell, but it's I'm giving you the means to complete and understand it in the hopes that by doing so, you understand what you're getting into, kind of thing. I don't want to be responsible for arming people with these spells, but I will potentially divulge the knowledge. And that continues on for a number of pages before it starts to discuss various forms of necromancy, beginning with the idea of just raising the dead, which of course is pretty classic. You do see a spell or two that you're likely familiar with, just in general, of having seen them around, in terms of
Right,
spells that raise dead, spells that could potentially control the dead, those sorts of things. And then further in is heading back more towards discussion and theory on combining blood magic with necromancy in order to, as he puts it, bypass the necessity of the gods in attempting to return a soul to one's body. And as you get further through, the idea of not necessarily returning someone's soul to their own body, but binding other souls to your own body to make yourself more powerful.
Oh boy. Linger's gonna be the BBEG by the time she's done in this library.
Yeah, she's taking notes. So many notes.
Oh no. We're all just up here having a nice little chat, not knowing what's going on down there.
Yeah, those notes would be very threatening if any of the three of us could read.
The shadow grows over Linger's shoulder.
Yeah.
Considering we don't know how to read, like,
I know how to
we're just
read.
fucked.
Rip rubbing his
Okay.
hands evilly as he watches Linger continue.
Yeah, Warden does know how to
So-
read very slowly.
Well, it's also in her shorthand, so she's got out her book, her
Oh
and her
god,
quill.
she's written it upside down backwards and in Latin.
Yeah.
Or some shit like
And
fucking Da
it's-
Vinci.
She has summoned her magic quill. It's part of her whole deal, and is sitting there, technically writing in blood, in her own.
Oh my god.
Her own spell book. All of this information. If you guys ever open her spell book, you'll see the kind of ink that is used. It's great. Yeah, that's why she doesn't bleed much when she gets stabbed.
It's just all in the book.
It's all in the book.
That makes sense.
I mean, you really only need 5 pints of blood in you at all times, so.
No, you
Yeah.
don't.
Sure. So yeah, that's what she'd be doing.
Okay. As you make notes on the ruminations of the Grand Wizard Syldaris, and indeed his ruminations on blood magic and necromancy. And boop, as we drift back upstairs to the other three, deep in conversation with Salim Borvali, whose name I need to be very careful not to accidentally say incorrectly and reveal my inspiration for the name, that I'm sure no one guessed.
What? Were we supposed to guess something?
No,
I don't know.
I just
it's
work
me
here.
thinking I'm absolutely hilarious. That's all.
I'm just so
It's the
clever,
job of
says
every
Mitch.
DM. Yeah.
Yeah. As he twirls his long moustache.
Snidely Whiplash.
Yes, so, indeed,
Oh, it's
the planes and temporal magic. But where were we? What precisely?
You were, you were gonna sort of lay out ways in which you could get out of this joint, as it were.
Yes. Well. As best as I understand it, this could potentially work somewhat akin to a curse. So, possibly some form of powerful curse removing magic might be able to do the trick. Unfortunately, cursing or indeed uncursing were never my strong suit, unless by cursing you mean unleashing a string of terrible swear words at whoever has interrupted my research.
Wait, but didn't you curse yourself and that's why you're stuck here?
Yes, but it was an accident.
Oh,
It's
thank
like,
and
you
it's-
should really watch your language.
I would say it's less a curse and more a magical mishap.
that
Yeah,
sounds
so-
like a curse. Okay.
Curse or possibly negative ions. Have you considered it might be negative ions keeping you in here?
I have not. What exactly are those? I don't believe I've come
Well-
across those in my
Consider the
research.
waters. Or
It's, the sort of opposite of positive ions, obviously. But I don't have time to go into details right now.
Please, right here. You have all the time in the world.
wait a
Well,
minute. I'm gonna hold on. I got you,
Wait a
Chester. I'm
minute.
gonna save you.
Thank you.
Here's the thing. Have you considered that the water might have exorbitant levels of fluoride in it?
No.
I just read that in a book once. I don't know what any of it means. It's just water, right?
I see. Well, I'm almost certain that's probably not the case. Otherwise, you would also be trapped here yourselves, as would various others who have drank the water before, or indeed likely after yourselves.
Heard a lot about how fluoride can trap you.
I see.
Don't
I shall
ask
make
me
a
what
note of it.
fluoride is. I don't know what it is, but
And I shall make a note as well to keep my eyes peeled for various curse-relieving agents
Yes,
of a
well,
high level.
Certainly those, or certainly higher level items or magical spells or abilities that could dispel any of the various enchantments that I had placed on this tower, although I am somewhat leaning away from those right now because I'm also researching what might happen if I were to undo one of the planar bindings, for example. Would it shunt me out where I left, or would it simply strand me in the astral plane? Which would not be
Speaking of leaning,
particularly ideal.
when you came into this tower, was it, perfectly straight? Because I should say, not to worry you, it seemed like it was pretty solid. And a bit of a lean on it now.
Well, when I last entered my tower, it was a perfectly resplendent wizard's tower with a large clock on the face of it. Has something happened to my
Okay,
tower?
well,
Did those
if
dwarves
it's
come
too
back for their
big,
stone? He looks
if
around
anything, it
nervously.
makes it look-
You don't have any dwarves with you, do you?
You're kind of cool. With me,
Warden's just
no,
two.
I do not.
Warden's just two dwarves in a suit of armor.
The trench coat flies open, the axes come out.
Aha! We got you.
give us our stone.
Are you saying something has happened to my tower in my absence?
Just a slight lean to it. If anything, it gives it sort of an artistic flair. Now, the only reason I bring it up, because I assume if the tower were to collapse, you would probably be trapped in here forever. So, I just warn of that as a sort of possibility.
The tower hasn't begun to collapse, has it?
Well,
No.
we've all begun to collapse just in terms of time and its passage and its effects on matter.
And under the weight of societal pressures to be who
Societal
the
pressures.
society thinks that we should be, even though that maybe we just want to be somebody kind of
Somebody
different,
else.
And
Different,
the
you know?
exterior is called a ruin now, so that's might show you how long it's been.
You can
It
see,
does
like,
look rather ruinous.
the lower lip starts to tremble, the monocle pops out and is just kind of hanging from
Oh no.
the coat. My tower is in ruins? Was it the dwarves?
yes. No, it wasn't. But I did ask you about the dwarf stone. Did you steal that from them? Also,
No! Why would I do that?
Insight-
That would
insight-
be ridiculous. That would incur the wrath of the
Inside
dwarf.
check.
Go
yeah,
for it.
Nura believes him.
To steal
Sorry.
ceremonial stone from a dwarf would incur the wrath of
Right.
probably generations of said dwarf, who's likely been using it for, I don't know, some sort of gravestone or grave marking, and that is certainly not the sort of practice that I am in.
Right.
Don't worry, I'll roll and see if he
Yeah.
rolls even lower than Chester.
I don't, it's going to be hard.
It's a nat 1 from him.
Let's go,
So-
baby.
Whilst the others are quite trusting, Chester, even though you're struggling to do so, you do still somehow manage to get a bead on this guy, and you can tell he's not being entirely truthful about not stealing that stone from the dwarves.
Well, a fellow rogue. He's gonna let that slide by. No big deal. Sometimes you gotta.
He just wanted to
You
know.
gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah.
Mira's like, yeah.
Okay.
I'm so glad that they gave it to you, though, because I think dwarves are very protective of their stone because it's just very important to their like whole personality, like every
Yes.
single one of them.
Absolutely, and very mistrusting of magic, I often find. Tell me, if the tower is regarded as a ruin, does the clock still remain?
It seems accurate as well.
He kind of fixes the monocle back on, and I would hate to think that in my experiments to bind time to a particular object and accidentally trap myself within the bindings of time, that object in and of itself would have lost its magical potency.
If we break the clock, could we break you out? Because you're bound to it?
Don't actually know.
Oh,
That's an
well, I
interesting
guess we
theory.
could try it. Right?
I mean,
It's like,
this
wow,
entire
big
time I had
brain.
been questioning and querying whether I'd bound myself, whether it was to the flow of time, or whether it was to this plane in and of itself, or whether it was to the flow of the weave, or the ley lines that run throughout the weave and carry the magic across the weave. But I had never quite considered whether it was specifically relating to the clock. I suppose, particularly because I can't exactly leave to have a look.
Oh, well, here's a good thing. I can leave to have a look, and I'll go blow the clock up, and if you die, we'll know that you were attached to the clock. And if you don't die, then we'll know that that wasn't it.
I would say perhaps you bring this theory to that rather scholarly friend of yours, not the present one. He gestures at Chester, who had, of course, introduced himself as a scholar of many, many subjects.
It's just everything.
Because, of course, she, or they, I do not mean to presume, are not currently present. They might have some ruminations on the query themselves, but perhaps between the two of you, and kind of gestures to Chester and downstairs to Linger,
yes.
you might be able to investigate the tower in and of itself, and the clock in and of itself, and perhaps return with your findings and your thoughts as such.
Well, you know, Linger's a little busy right now.
Before
She saw
accidentally
that
killing me.
you could be brought back to life. Also, it might take a while, right? Because time moves differently here. So if I blow it up, it might take you 100 years to die. You ever think about that?
Oh boy. That's
But
a
also-
cheery thought.
If you blow it up, you might also prevent further access. These are all the
Well,
questions that must be asked and answered before we attempt such things.
Absolutely. I definitely think that we should always
And what if by
metaphorically
destroying...
think ahead.
Exactly. And what if by destroying the clock and indeed the plane, you potentially tear a hole into the astral plane itself and begin to draw the town of Belcrest into... it is still Belcrest, is it not?
Yes.
Excellent. Indeed, the town of Belcrest and my school into the astral plane.
Well, yeah. That
Yeah, I
sounds
guess
not
that
ideal.
would be a bad thing if that happened. I mean, there's
Absolutely.
totally.
So for now, I suggest we maybe just put a pin in it. Just table it for now, and
Put a
we'll
pin
circle
in the
back to
table.
it. There's no
Circle
such
the
thing as a bad
table with
idea,
pin in
but
it.
that for now
Well,
we'll table it.
listen, I don't know if I should be trusting you with bad idea suggestions, considering that you accidentally stuck yourself in a demi-plane that you can't leave. Feels like you're the one with the bad ideas.
Yes, perhaps it is best not to continue tampering with the fabrics of natural law.
Why not?
But that's part of the fun of magic.
No, you're supposed to. No, bad.
What is magic in and
No.
of itself, if not tampering with
You're
the
supposed
natural
to
order of
use-
things?
You're
Oh.
supposed to be. Oh, sorry, Warden. Go
All
ahead.
magic is supposed to be fun then.
Quite.
Well, I also think that magic is supposed to work in tandem with the natural order of things.
Oh, I see. You're one of those.
Yeah.
Not to worry.
I'm sorry. One of what?
What do they call them? One of the more naturey types, the druidy types. Can you also turn
No,
into
I'm not.
animals?
No, I'm not a druid, and I cannot turn into an animal as far as I know.
I see. Oh well,
I'd
some
love
things
a
can't
good
be
berry
helped.
right about now.
You what? Sorry.
I'd love a good berry right about now, but that's a shame. You ever have a good berry pie?
Oh my gosh.
No, I haven't. Mira holds up a finger to this guy and is like, I am not sure that you are very nice all the time.
I don't quite know how to respond to that.
Well, I'm just stating a observation.
Well, I apologize if I have offended you.
Okay. Mira looks at everyone and is like, should we go get Linger and then consider blowing up the clock tower?
And investigating those 5 doors. Actually, sir, if you don't mind,
Yes.
we come to a floor with an abundance of doors. My
Yes, the door floor.
curiosity. The door floor, in apt name.
I had considered putting in only 4 doors and having it be the 4-door floor. But 5 just seemed more prudent. I needed the room.
And quite a room it is.
Thank you.
Seemingly. What do you got going on behind them doors?
Well, as you can see, this one is the study where I often bring a lot of my
Study?
findings and contain a lot of my various studies, and he kind of gestures over to one of the shelves, and one of the jars slowly floats towards him. As this is happening, what's Linger doing? Still writing?
Still muted.
I feel like you were
Still no.
unmuted for a second and then remuted
I
yourself.
feel like that too.
Oh.
No?
Yeah.
Yes?
There you are.
Yeah.
Okay. She's still writing, still reading. I know that's not the exciting thing to offer up, but given the content that she was just provided, there's
Mhm.
I mean, she's a pretty fast reader. She's a very fast note taker.
Fair enough.
Are there? I guess while she's doing that, she's going to have Rip. I know there's not like titles on all the books and stuff, but he can kind of pull some books out or at least flip through things that are already out and look for any more mentions of Syldaris, since this seems to be cropping up, and this is a pretty nice library.
Yeah. I will say, make a rip-vestigation check.
All right, let me go to Rip. Great. Extras. Excellent.
Oof.
Oh, Rip. Buddy.
He does have a -4 to his intelligence
Yeah.
because
I
he's not
noticed that.
So
home
do all of us.
Buddy.
Poor guy.
Really, I need to pick something different because there's no way he has a -2 to charisma.
No.
Yeah.
I just have Cat picked.
I will let you switch out your familiar.
Okay. Just make him one. You're the DM. Just whatever you think he ought to be.
No. No. I need to go back through the familiars and see which ones are available, to be fair, and base it off that.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
So I'll say, for now, we'll base it off Linger's stat rather than Rip's. I'll be nice.
I mean, either way, he rolled a 4. So
Yeah. He's looking. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to come across anything particularly in this aisle, we'll say, which seems to have
Yeah.
any mention of Syldaris. It's a lot of struggling to pull out books that don't have any titles or anything to try and flip
He
through
is
them, and that's where the
very-
issue is. He's just not strong enough to pull most of the
it's
books
very
out.
weak. So what we'll do is she'll instead of that have Rip climb backboard up the lace up to her horns, and he'll get his little strings to attach the ends of each of his horns like reins, so that he can guide her back up to where everyone else is. She's bringing the book with her so that she can walk and read, and then be able to ask the wizard some questions, perhaps. But
Excellent. So, as Linger is kind of cresting the top of the stairs, you guys watch as Vali kind of gestures to the side to one of the shelves, and one of the jars starts kind of floating towards his hands. It's the study is where I contain a lot of these, and he kind of holds up the jar close enough for you guys to kind of lean in and have a look. They contain various plants and creatures that I've been studying.
I was hoping it was marmalade in them jars.
No, that's in the kitchen behind door number 3.
Huh?
I told you we should have gone through the doors.
Yeah, well, next time I will heed your advice. I promise you.
As you should.
But as it is being presented to you this time rather than sat on the shelf, if you look very closely into the jars, you can see that what looks to be kind of like a small scale terrarium is actually, you can see what seems to be very, very small trees about the size of a normal plant in a terrarium. And you can see birds kind of circling around the trees inside the jar. You can see the movements of very, very small creatures around the base inside this jar.
Hmm. Are they living sentient creatures in there? Or is this just
Quite.
perhaps an illusion? Oh, okay. Very interesting.
No, as part of my investigations into pocket dimensions and pocket planes, I got quite adept at miniaturizing and encapsulating.
Fascinating.
This was my first work, and he gestures over to another one of the shelves, and a small bottle floats off, and you can just see the bottle's kind of horizontal, and there's this plane of liquid that's now very much starting to ripple and wave as the bottle is moving through the air, and you can see a small ship being rocked by the waves.
Ship in a bottle. Curious, you can shrink things down. Can you also re-embiggen them?
Most certainly.
Oh, okay.
Why, just the other day I accidentally let a displacer beast loose in here. And he kind of gestures around, and you can see there's scratches all along some of the walls.
Could you, just out of curiosity's sake, make me and Linga and Warden and we are all the same height?
I suppose I could if you really wanted me to.
Wow, imagine we were all 7 feet tall.
That's so tall.
Imagine we were all 2 feet tall.
Wow, yeah.
I would prefer not to be magically altered any further.
Have you been magically altered at all?
And how do you think warforges are made?
I don't,
Fascinating.
What?
And you see as he kind of adjusts the monocle, and there's a slight colourful sheen across the lenses. Very fascinating.
I kind of thought that, they just, were born. Like everyone else.
Like Dragonborn, for example.
Well, yeah, they're born. You're
Right in the name.
Yeah. It's right in the name. Are you not born? Are you magic? Are you magically altered?
Helmut's just gonna dip down. He's gonna look over to the wizard who's just looking at him. What do you find fascinating?
You. But I shan't pry nor delve any further. Worry not. It was simply when you mentioned the mention of magical alterations, and you see now as he is starting to get distracted by something that he seems to have noticed and is just staring intently at Linga, who is reading from her notes. There are quite a number of you who are quite fascinating indeed.
Us?
Thank you.
We're just
Yes.
kind of normal.
I wouldn't say so myself, but then again, I trapped myself in time, so what's normal to me?
Yeah, you're so silly.
You wanted to meet Rip, and she'll
Yes.
put her hand up, or no, she lifts her tail so that he can get on her tail, and he jumps on her tail, and she moves her tail out so that Rip is on a little platform.
And as Rip kind of raises up, he just... Adorable! And your name is Rip, yes? And he extends a finger out to Rip.
Yep. Rip shakes the finger, does takes the hat off and bows. The flourish. Much more adept at it. Apparently pays way more attention to Chester than Linger does.
What a marvelous little familiar you have.
If you
Quite
watch
the feat.
Rip long enough, you will see him mimic Chester quite often. It's from that night that he spent staring at him.
Absolutely.
Really, it inspired him.
I've seen my share of familiars in my time, and I must say I do rather like this one. Very unique.
Thank you. It took me probably longer than it should have with the limited resources that I had to find this form for him. Speaking of resources, would
Yes.
it be possible for me to borrow this book? Also, you mentioned you don't get visitors very often. Is there... I'm sure we would all love to continue building on this new interesting relationship that we have with you. I know a lot of towers, at least the nicer ones, usually have some sort of travel mechanic built into them, some circles or shrine. Well, not shrines. Well, I don't know. You do seem to have an interest in the religious arts.
Duh. Huh. As he kind of scoffs as you say religious arts. A passing comparison to the spells. And he kind of air quotes cast by the faithful. Simply investigations on how they differ from our own and how similar might be reproduced should we so desire. But sorry, continue.
Oh, no, I guess that's just what I was getting at, is you seem to be very interesting. I can't say that I'm not intrigued by a location that is trapped in time. We have some business out and about, and it would certainly be advantageous to have somewhere we could return to and visit that would not cost us external time in the world out and about.
I think I catch where you're going with this.
Mm-hmm. Want to be buddies and hang out so that we can use your tower to recover?
Let me deliberate on this. You see, I do have a number of portal scrolls which are bound to my teleportation circle within my tower. However, I do believe I have created somewhat of a pocket plane of existence and therefore rendered the vast majority of them quite useless. They're generally less powerful portal scrolls, which require the caster to be existing in the same plane as the desired location. If, again, you're not one of those who dismisses planar discussion as heresy.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Excellent. We were discussing it somewhat in your absence, and I would, of course, at some point be intrigued on your thoughts towards this, and yours, Mr. Fields. But perhaps another time. That was an unintentional time pun. But I could... and he kind of sprints off behind one of the shelves. You can hear rustling and clattering. Certainly, if it still exists, this, and he pulls a scroll tube out. There are a small number of portal scrolls within this containment, which are linked to my old teleportation circle within Moss Point Manor. So, should the circle still exist within, you should be able to recall to there. I believe there should be 5 such scrolls in there, and I could perhaps work on producing more. I have left a few behind my shelf, and I can recreate the spell if needs be.
If you need help scribing scrolls, I could certainly assist with that.
Certainly, but I've got nothing but time on my hands.
That's very true.
Although I would possibly request that I perhaps receive some small donation towards the materials required to reproduce scrolls, if possible.
Of course.
Excellent.
That should not be a problem. We're actually, I think, about to, if I remember correctly, take on a job to earn some coin, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah, we're gonna go fight some goblins or something, right?
a goblin horde or a band
A
or band. Hopefully not a horde. I feel like it goes band and then horde, if I had to guess.
Strange that there's not a middle ground between a band and then.
That's a good question. Is it between a band and a what? A
Well, perhaps
gathering?
you can be the trailblazers of
Oh, that's
such a
Juggalos.
town.
Yeah. Strange that I'm a bit of a trailblazer. Yeah, okay. You're on.
You know, I get that impression from you.
Thank you. You're not
I
the
think
first,
it's the
nor
suit and
last.
the finely groomed beard.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, you mean Chester? Okay.
But yes, it has been, of course, a pleasure to make your acquaintances. Are you suggesting then that you take your leave?
I believe so. But I will reiterate as well that yes, it has been a pleasure. We should bust into more wizards' towers, is what I'm
We
saying.
really should.
Oh yeah.
That might not always be the smartest idea. Breaking into wizard towers is often a good way to get oneself utterly destroyed.
Well, it seems like it's a fine idea, so I'll take what you say under advisement.
Well, you knocked on my door, which was rather more polite.
Suppose that's true.
If you are to take your leave, Boris, and you see as a silver tray emerges into the room, would you be ever so kind as to escort them out?
Oh, let me offer you a gift, just on that note, for Boris here. I'm a bit of a dabbler in the unseen servant world as well, and I have these little felt mustaches that I will often affix to my belvedere, just because you ever find you're working on something, and then one of these guys sneaks up behind you, you didn't see him, right in the name.
Absolutely.
You just put this little mustache right where I guess the face would be, and then, you have that walking around.
Ingenious.
There you go. I got a bunch of them. Just felt. Easily done. Here you go, sir.
Thank you very much. I shall have great fun. And you can see he's kind of just like sizing them all up in his hands as the silver tray turns and starts to leave. Very much more entertaining than just watching trays and towels float around. Interesting.
Why not?
Well, seeing as you are taking your leave, Warden, Mura, Chester, Linga, and of course, indeed, Master Rip, and bows deeply to Rip. It has been a pleasure to make all of your acquaintances.
It's been great
Likewise.
to meet you. I promise I won't blow up your clock until I talk to Linger about how that could affect you potentially.
Please do
Sorry,
not.
what?
Don't worry, we'll put a pin in it. We'll put a pin in it. We'll talk about it later. On the way out.
Linga's like, the
I-
fuck did I miss while I was reading?
Oh, wow. Did he say that she could borrow the book or no?
Yes, no, of course. Absolutely.
Oh. Thank
Be
you
sure to bring it back.
so much. Of course.
It's a
Bring it
small
by
price to pay
before
for
we
the
leave.
promise of repeated interactions.
Wow.
And
Lonely.
possible rescue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Why not?
So the theory
The world
is
can always use more wizards.
the theory is
Exciting.
Linger that maybe he's attached somehow to the clock, and that if we blow the clock up, we'll shatter the demi plane and release him. It could also kill him, so
Well, you did say there was a ley line that ran through here. Perhaps we could just sever the connection between the ley line and the clock.
maybe.
And
I'll
power it
think.
down. Yeah. As an
That
option. And then you
could
can blow it up
work.
after.
Fine. I'll
We'll find you something to blow up, sweetie. I
Alright,
promise.
I just separate the ley line. Just feels like it
Not
would-
the ley line, just from the clock. Like the ley line would stay fine. Just the
Okay.
tendril, the tributary of ley line that runs to the clock.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
Returning it to its source, just rerouting it back where it goes.
Okay. Okay, yeah, we could try this. That's I'm fine with that, yeah.
I don't know how to accomplish this at this point. It's just a theory, but
I don't know
Certainly.
how to do that.
I expect one would have to be quite the powerful geomancer in order to be able to manipulate ley lines to that extent, but that's ruminations for another time.
indeed.
Just the nervous
What we got
chuckle
here
every
is a
time he
hot
says
wired
time.
clock. Gotta
I'ma cut it. I'm gonna cut the wire.
get him. The blue one. Wait, no, the red one. No, damn it.
It's already
I'm colorblind.
Campaign 3.
Which one, the grey wire, the slightly darker grey wire, or the lighter grey wire? No, the red one.
Here's the thing, I can't see red.
She says,
Is
covered
my
in
red
red.
the same as your red?
Oh god. But
Yes.
the silver tray escorts you out with a moustache affixed in place. And you can see it is now getting towards kind of late evening, early night as you step out, there is a crowd that is gathered around, having heard about the people that stepped into the clock tower and haven't been seen since.
Success! We have completed our task. Time has been saved.
What year is it? What year is it?
But yeah, the door swings shut and seals once more as solid stone behind you. And with that, I think for today, we shall end it there. As you
We did it.
presumably either head back to the tavern to start making your plans, or just start making your plans here and now to head off towards Ebonwood and investigate the
Yeah.
goblins.
Right here, right
think-
now. Yeah, let's stay and make the plans.
Well, we were going in the morning, right?
Yeah.
We
That's
could
what I
just-
assumed.
Let's go back to the
Just walk back into the tower and just be like, so we may have jumped the gun. You have extra rooms?
Well, that
Sleepover.
Yeah, maybe a
is a
bit.
problem for next time on Sands of Syldaris.
He said the name.
Yeah, we'll be back in March.
Wow.
I think.
Really?
I don't.
Well, we're not.
I don't know.
Hold on. Let's see.
Well, there's a handy calendar that somebody made that you can
Yeah.
click on
Yeah.
and see.
Well, we're not playing next week, and I don't think we're playing the 18th. Or the 25th. So yeah, I think we will be back in March.
I will definitely remember everything that happened in March.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally. I took great notes.
Why do we all have to be adults with schedules, man?
Don't worry,
I just
March is far enough away that we'll be able to.
But we will see you again for the thrilling conclusion to just like that one question.
Let's go fight some gobos.
Woo! Yeah, I mean, would it
Yeah.
really be D&D if you didn't go somewhere to fight some goblins at some point?
Truly.
Yeah, I feel
Maybe
like I
it's a
haven't killed
battalion,
goblin
a
in a while.
band, battalion, and a
A
horde.
regiment?
Maybe
Band
Maybe.
battalion.
a regiment of. I like a regiment of goblins.
But
Hmm.
that seems too organized.
A monstrous regiment, you might say.
Hey,
I love you.
I knew you'd like that one.
Excuse me. Well, all of those questions and more will be answered next time. We will see you all. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
And end screen. Boom.